This is First Contact, Stories of the Call Center. Let's kind of talk about what are you seeing from your database and your experience and what you're seeing metrics-wise and how they're shifting and what people are doing. What do you see trending right now in the industry and where do you see it going? Anything in particular you can share with our audience from your side?
Yeah. So what we're finding is that, there's a lot of people who were not benchmarking back 20 years ago are benchmarking now. And so they know what they need to do to get better. And the level of management sophistication is much higher now than it was 20 years ago. So there's going to be sort of an effect where the low-hanging fruit is starting to run out, if you will. So the first call resolution rates, for instance, went up 10% in the decade from about 2005 to 2015. Now it's pretty much leveled off. In a number of other areas, we've also seen that happen. And one area where things continue to proceed is with the automation of calls. So the number of calls handled by the IVR, and now we have to say the IVR and virtual agents. There's a half a dozen terms that's used for automated assistance on calls. But basically that continues. The majority of calls for some time actually have been handled by the IVR or / virtual agents, and that's continuing. I think will continue.
Got it. And so when we talk about, multiple channels, omni-channel, not everyone does it. Everyone talks about it, and it's talked about it forever, but still there's a lot of data that's siloed, a lot of systems that are siloed, a lot of technology that has bolted on over time. And then there's obviously adoption of systems that have a lot of this stuff in it already. From a benchmarking and metrics perspective, did you see that it was like, hey, this is improving because people are getting better at it and they're adopting it? Or do you still see that there's maybe not best practices yet of really truly embracing omni-channel and other variations where you could sit there and go, this is how I can properly benchmark because I'm benchmarking not just what I'm seeing, but what could be done to optimize these things and get better performance or better outcomes? You got any insight in what you're seeing in those developments?
What we're seeing is a mixed picture. So the idea is that we have been big proponents of knocking down silos for a long time, and this is silos in every direction. But that also includes the channels. So, for instance, I can remember going into a center some time ago that was a contact center just for calls, and working with them to have them also work on everything from emails to chat to social media. And so what they did was to actually rotate people through these things, and it was a good way of finding out what people were best at as well. And in fact, there were two people who were monitoring social media. It happened that in their case, it was very important to do that. And so they would basically rotate through that. Everybody got to understand that customer contact is a multi-channel thing, and it's an omni-channel thing. And they said, okay, we might not have, this is an important point, Christian, we might not have the technology today. We may not be able to afford it. We are going to have to budget for it for next year or the year after to have true omni-channel capabilities. But let's start developing an omni-channel mentality now. I think that may be a takeaway for people listening, is that you can start, forming your omni-channel mentality even before you have all of the capabilities to do it. It will mean that people will be prepped for the technology when it comes, and it will actually push probably the whole organization toward the omni-channel capabilities sooner.
I think that is a critical starting point, right? You have to have some senior leadership own the idea that this is what we're going to embrace. But I think the other part of it is that we find often is companies don't have expertise in implementing those things. They don't know what they don't know. They've never actually knocked down those silos. They've never run a system where they've integrated some of these other medias. And so when they need to go do that, sometimes they have to look outside of their organization if they don't have people internally that can actually help them get there. Because there's a lot of people that bite off more than they could chew. They'll say, "Hey, I want to start doing SMS. I want to start doing email. I want to start doing social media," and they just do it, and it just becomes another siloed product where it doesn't perform well. And now their customers are getting another avenue to have a poor experience, right? And so I think it's also really important that it's not just having the mindset; it's also making sure that you take ownership of what you don't know and finding how do you get those gaps filled so that if you are going to implement those strategies that they're done appropriately.
Right.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely do that. Inform yourself, but also look outside your organization to folks who have embraced this, who have experience with it, and who can help you to get there faster and better, and without making the mistakes that others have had. Because you take professionals like yourself, like others, they've seen it before. They understand where the potholes are, and by embracing a partner that can really help you get to where you need to get, it's going to leverage you to a better place quicker.